in the creation of 4,000 jobs during the period of incubation, which is up to 3 years at a time. And we also conduct various accelerator programs, which is generally a short-term duration. Currently, we have 52 companies which are incubated with us. We have both a physical incubation as well as a virtual incubation model. So, of the 52, half of the companies are located within the IIT Bombay campus, and we have also the virtual mode which spread across the cities. And of the companies, after they complete their graduation in 3 years, they all companies to integrate. And we are also with the Bombay campus. We are open startups who are technology-based and positive impacts on the country as well. This is uh, interestingly, we everyone that is invested in the company, if you look at this particular ratio, the startups have 100 and that's one is the scientist external funding the ratio. We have actually some within IT meeting spin off uh, from IT 100 as IP generated in the process. And come back to our science is this a bit of and I've been having a series of webinars available on our Science Bombay YouTube page. We had one on last month for so forth. So we have a webinar on getting customer ready, and we have with us Dr. Ashtikan. He is an academic also the foreign chairman of mechatronics, and they are completely focused on control for small engines and power plants. Selmac was incorporated in 2007, and their technologies have been in millions of people actually across the country. And Dr. Sachin's earning his BTech from IIT Madras in 1998, PhD from University of California, Berkeley in 2002. Subsequently, he worked with GE Global Research in New York, which he joined the faculty of IIT Bombay, where he continues to serve. Experienced entrepreneur with great learning running enterprises, and bring back insights to the table for dealing with customers and getting customer ready. I would like to invite you to this webinar and share your experience on working and how you approach investors, approach customers of the entire technology and the give you the customers word of that. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rakesh. Would I be able to share my screen and stuff? Would you
Actually,
give me access?
so I think
Professor?
Professor
Yes, I'm done.
great. So you can share the yeah, it's coming up.
Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Rakesh, can you confirm? Okay. Good afternoon, all. Like Rakesh mentioned, I'm a faculty member here in IIT Bombay. I've been here for about 15 years. And this company came out of my lab around 12 years back. 2008, 2009 timeframe. And I will share some snippets of engaging with customers. Mostly anecdote. At the outset, I would like to say to everybody that there is no magic formula to engage with customers. It's a very personal journey that every company, every entrepreneur goes through, and don't take anything that's too seriously. Okay? So, yeah, so I want to do that. So this is a personal learning in which there may be some insights that can translate to similar industries, divisions, but it's the specific situation that you are in, what you are facing, that lead to what happens in your company, in your situation. So with that sort of a disclaimer upfront, I will be going. The way I have about 4 or 5 slides. A little bit about the company that I've been creating along with others, and ending up with a slide which navigates the journey of custom addition within this company. Hopefully that will set the tone for discussion later on, question answer session that some of you may have. You know. So the first 5-10 minutes may be a little boring in terms of saying something about this company itself, but hopefully the rest of the 10-15 minutes will cater to a set of concerns and questions with regard to customer acquisition and retention. So the company's name is Sedmac. It builds control technologies. Those of you who are not familiar with it, you can think of it as in human body, the brain is the controller. The control technology is referred to how to utilize the morphology of the brain to execute different tasks that the human body performs. You know, what all does it get in the brain? You know? So this company built controls for two classes of market segments. One is on-road automotive, and the other is off-road, off-highway. Like I mentioned, this company came out of the lab, and right from inception, our vision has been only one thing, that we want to build control technology, because that's what uh, I am trained in, and I am training the students who also became co-founders, became co-founders along with me in this company. So our vision continues to remain the same, and we will build some fresh technologies which you would like to take to market and see what's the use of them. You know, so that continues to remain the vision. And in the process, when we say fresh technologies, the idea is to build things that the world hasn't seen in in form that we present. So in some sense, that itself will make it globally relevant. You know, it's not just doing something that has been done before somewhere else. So technologies seeing widespread use. That's been our vision. Uh, we have received backing from several investors, including Nexus Venture Partners, who was the first investor back in 2008, continues to be a shareholder of the company. So it's a 12-year relationship. And subsequently, we've had several investors. India Innovation Fund, who's no more an investor in the company. And then Nandan Nilekani, TR Capital, Iron Pillar, Montan. These are all venture capital funds which have infused capital either into the company or its shareholders. All of these investors who are backing the vision of the company are purely financial in nature. It's the founding team as well as the management team having complete independence in pursuing whatever they want to. That's the background and the vision of the company. The company is the company sells stocks complex on you see in this slide. Basically, controls look like for those of you who are not familiar with the in terms of control look like a motherboard for PC. Some of you have seen some components of the microprocessor, etc. That's how control looks. Product are essentially controllers in different ways and sold. Today we do about 210 or 20 crores in revenue. We have raised about 100 crores of capital and have, in the process of our journey over the last decade, established leadership. And I think this is the most crucial. I will talk a little bit more about it later on. But there are a few things where we can say we are the leader in it. Today we manufacture about 3 million controllers a year in our own facilities. We have an engineering strength of about 100 engineers. Maybe 20 or 25 of them at any given point of time will be from the IITs and NITs, etc. Mostly IIT Bombay forms a big chunk of those students, those engineers who work there. And about 150 or so in supply chain and production related functions. So we have about 270 employees today. And we have brought several first time technologies to the market. And I will speak about them in further detail, to give you a glimpse in the process of us adding customers. Now, since this discussion is largely around customers and our engagement with them, it's useful for you to register who our customers are. We have only a handful of significant customers. So that's what you see there is the list of significant customers that we have, about 10. So all our 200 crore plus, close to $30 million revenue, all comes from just these 10 people. Okay. So it's quite obvious that we started from zero with each of these people. And the first year of our existence in 2009, 2010, I think our revenue was around 20 lakhs and now it's around 200 crore. And in the same set of customers, of course, in the first couple of years, there were only one or two. So we have grown and retained these customers quite substantially. Okay, that's been our journey. Now, many of you would know several of the brands listed here: TVS, Bajaj, Hero. They're all two-wheeler manufacturers. The others may be a little less known: Kirloskar, Mahindra Powerol, Leh Power is a generator wing of Ashok Leyland, Cummins. So these companies are all generator manufacturers. And Generac is also a generator manufacturer. So Mahindra Powerol, Kirloskar, Leh Power, Cummins, Generac are generator manufacturers. Briggs and Stratton is one of the largest manufacturer of off-road engines in the world. In fact, it is the largest manufacturers by volume of off-road engines in the world. And DIFE is also a controls company. So these are the set of people that we interact with. 6 or 7 of them are based in India, and 3 or 4 of them are based outside of India. That's our current customer base. Okay, a little bit about one second, doesn't seem to be moving. Yeah, little bit about the company itself. We supply controllers. We don't just build the technology for it and don't just do the engineering for it. We do the whole hog of conceiving, developing technologies, doing the engineering, building products, manufacturing in large scale, supplying and taking responsibilities for the entire product life cycle. That's our story. So it's a full-fledged company doing end-to-end sort of thing today. But our journey in doing this hasn't been. It's not that on the very first day we ended up having huge manufacturing lines or anything like that. Uh, just 1 second. So this end-to-end sort of story that we have built today did not happen from the very outset. It has been built organically. Today, of course, this is the present state of affairs of us being a substantial business doing large volume supplies of innovative control products. So I will now take you through the key slide, which is the journey of the company through different states, and in the process, what happened and which customers we acquired at what time frame, what has the adoption of our products, etc. been. Before I get into this slide, I think a crucial comment I want to make in the previous slide is that you see three blocks there. One block, which is the right extreme, is high volume manufacturing. Okay, there are many companies in India which can do high volume manufacturing of controllers. Of course, our lines are world class. Not many companies have something like that, but quite a few companies can make controllers. The middle part is what we refer to as engineering. Okay, so this has to do with using technologies, either your own or established technologies that are available in the world, to make products which are reliable and satisfy different standards, such as automotive grade designs that we are interested in. Okay, so that engineering bit, doing reliable designs of stuff that can work for long periods of time in harsh environments which automotive presents, is not done by too many companies in India. Okay, and the left part of it, which is around building fresh technology, a novel way of doing something, okay, novel way of controlling a motor, novel way of controlling an engine. This is largely absent in India. Okay, now when I say largely absent, we are talking about very large markets that we are serving: the 2 and 3 wheeler market, or the generator market, or soon the 4-wheeler motor market, etc. These are very large markets. And usually, if you have a very large market, you have, I mean, we are talking about billions and billions of dollars of the size of the market. If you have such large markets, usually there are players already in place who have taken positions on different technologies. Okay, by virtue of India being a bit of a laggard in terms of the industrial revolution hitting us, we have traditionally not been an occupant of any of the significant technologies in the space that I'm talking about. Okay, so this, in that sense, I say that this is largely absent, and to our knowledge, from what I have seen over the last 10, 12 years in the space that we are operating in, we are the only company in India that builds from scratch fresh technologies and are able to scale it up to the level that it has gotten to. Okay, there are many people who make prototypes, but getting a really fresh technology, which is widely regarded as first to be done by us, not just in India, and getting it to the scale of millions of units. This is probably the only company in India in the space that we are operating in. So this, I think, is a crucial aspect, the last bit that I spoke about, which has dictated the journey of our customer acquisition. Okay, we have always been about trying to do something fresh, and I will now take you through through that journey. So I have an x-axis, as people usually call it, anything horizontal, of time going from 2010 through 2025. Of course, we are in 2020 now. Just to let you know that this is a marathon that we are running in building a solid company. This is not a flash in the pan sort of business. It's never been our intent to keep it that way. But right from the outset, we wanted to build a solid, long business for the long term. Okay, so some of the key happenings that led us to creating the customer position that we have. I will take you through that. Yeah. So I mentioned that we are about building fresh technology propositions. So I will talk about three such technology propositions that have worked out for us. We have tried 2, 3 more which have not worked out, but these are stuff that have worked out and have had a significant impact on the journey of customer addition that we have managed. So around 2010, we did our first demonstration of a new ignition control scheme for small engines. I do not know how many of you are familiar that there is a spark that is put millions of times in running small engines, including all your two-wheelers, which are IC engine powered today. And this was a technology of saying this is the best way of putting the spark in these engines. That is a sort of claim that we made in 2010. Which turned out to be true. So one of the crucial points I would like to mention is that nobody told us to build this. So we did not go out and ask the customer space saying, "Hey, what is your real problem?" We didn't do that at all. The major propositions that we have had thus far have never been around going and asking customers, "What is it that you want?" Okay, of course there are minor propositions built around the major propositions that in which we do that, but the real major propositions are really out of our own imagination, that if we are able to do this, will you like it? Okay, so that sort of a pitch is what we have taken to customers. And the first demonstration of a significant technology coming from SEDEMAC was back in 2010, leading to first licensing contract. Okay, maybe around 6 months after we did a demonstration with a leading two-wheeler company in India, and that happened around 2011, 2010, 2011 timeframe. Now, how did this really happen? This translating a demo into a licensing contract, and why was it licensing? Today we don't do much licensing at all. We supply physical products, but at that time we were just a 2-3% company, close to zero revenues, or maybe 40-50 lakhs of revenue. It was basically an act of faith reposed in us by this company, and more importantly, just by one or two individuals in that company. And there on, I think a crucial bit was that we were doing something which they had not seen. That's, I think, the most important thing, that they had not seen the sort of demonstration that we have made from anybody, including large billion-dollar companies that were their suppliers. That's the most crucial. But it is also the case that there was a faith that this comes from an IIT sort of setting, coming from an IIT professor. So there is let's give it a shot. That sort of thing was also there. Okay, but of course the main thing is that there is something fresh, and it was working at the time the demonstration was made, leading to a contract, after which a huge due diligence exercise started in terms of making sure this thing works in variety of different conditions, etc., for lots of different vehicles, for about 1.5 years before it actually saw light of day. So that's how we attracted our first customer. This thing is terrible, doesn't it? share properly. Sorry. The parallelly, what we were also doing, we were addressing, of course, the 2 and 3 wheeler market, but we were also addressing the generator market. And one of the things, again, we did fresh there, and nobody told us to do this, is to integrate the what are known as supervisory controls with engine controls for these generator sets. Till today, nobody has managed to do that globally in the offering manner in which we first offered and we continue to offer. And therefore we will see where we are headed in terms of what we are doing. And we did a pilot of this offering sometime around 2012, maybe around 500 to 1,000 generator sets got fitted with this offering. And again, a big name, Mahindra Powerol, backed us with this. Subsequently, we parallelly, I'm telling you the story of smart ignition, which is the ignition technology, and the generator technology, which is integrating supervisory and engine controls. The first implementation happened for smart ignition on a high volume two-wheeler model, which was Phoenix, I think. It's a vehicle called Phoenix, subsequently on Jupiter. And the start of supplies for generators also happened around 2013 for high volume. So until about 2013, we had only two significant customers. The others were very tiny. Okay. Around 2014 time frame, once we were able to establish that we have something special for pretty large markets, two-wheeler and generator sets, and we got our first customers in place, then the journey of adding other customers, as usual, becomes a lot easier, because you simply have to show that you have been successful with somebody large who is their competitor, and therefore they will also start looking at you seriously. This is pretty normal, right? One thing that a lot of pundits would have already spoken about, you must have also heard, that people buy what other people buy. Okay, so if I see somebody using some sort of a phone, and then I also go and buy that sort of a phone. This happens in large businesses also. If somebody sees that TVS has deployed something in reasonable numbers on crucial models, or Mahindra is doing that, then their competitors also start listening to people like us who with innovative propositions. Okay, so that's the journey that has happened subsequently. So we added Ashok Leyland as one of our customers for generator sets. Subsequently, we also added Bajaj as a significant customer for our smart ignition solution, again a licensing contract. But by the time we had added the second customer, there were already 3 million vehicles on the road with our technology. Okay, so the journey of customer addition has been fairly slow, because we are dealing with very large customers. Okay, and we don't need a huge set of customers for the deployment of the technologies that we build. This is another thing about technology companies. They tend to be heavily B2B. People are not, end users are not interested in controllers. They're not interested in control technology. They're interested in roti, kapda, makan, mobility, and things like that, which are served by a few B2C players. Okay, the technology companies tend to be B2B, because if I say that I have the best ignition control solution, the person I need to sell to is not the end user. He's not bothered about all that. The person I need to sell to is the company that is building the end use product, and who can benefit from it either in the form of better performance, or in the form of better costs, or the form of them gaining market share, or whatever the case may be for them. So the technology companies tend to be heavily B2B, as opposed to trying to serve the end user. So by the time we got our second significant customer for our two-wheeler. We already have 3 million vehicles on the road with our first technology intervention. Of course, along the way, the third significant generator manufacturer also became our customer, which is Kirloskar. Then possibly the most significant event in Sedemac's journey so far is that we demonstrated a motor control technology, which is a fundamental commutation technology for a large class of brushless motors around 2015-16 timeframe, where we demonstrated sensorless action for a wide range of speeds. It continues to be the state of the art. So today we can claim we have the best motor commutation technology for a very large class of motors. So this sort of claim is a very substantial claim, and I think is going to drive a significant part of our growth in the next 5 to 10 years. That happened again. Nobody told us to build this. We were working on a couple of ideas of eliminating starter motors in two-wheelers, and then we chanced upon a broader idea, which of course also leads to elimination of starter motors in two-wheelers, but has very wide ramification, not just in two-wheelers, but in automotive systems, including in cars, 5 or 6 different subsystems in cars, including power steering, seating, windows, all sorts of things. So we have a huge story to build around this. But the first demonstration of that happened in 2016. Because this was pretty substantial, and by that time the company's revenues were also growing, we were doing supplies to the generator control space through contract manufacturing until then. Now that we have a big enough proposition and also our company's revenues were growing, we set up a really world-class ECU manufacturing facility in the outskirts of Pune in Chakan. That was around 2016 timeframe. And parallelly, we also saw more and more use of our smart ignition solution, by which time about 6 million vehicles were already using it. And the third significant customer came on board. Okay, so that journey continued on. And about a year or so after we established our high volume manufacturing lines, we started supplying physical controllers, what are called ECUs, electronic control units, for the two-wheeler market. It's a high volume market. So until 2016-17, we were not physically supplying products to the two-wheeler space. We were licensing technology. Okay, but now with our manufacturing strength, at least in terms of lines having built up, we started those supplies, and now in the last 2-3 years, we have firmly established ourselves as one of the go-to suppliers for the technology around sensorless motor controls. Parallelly, with 3 major customers on board, by 2019 or so, 20 million vehicles, that is 2 crore vehicles in the market, ended up using our smart ignition technology. Probably now it is around 25 million vehicles. That's a very large number. So in some sense, it's sort of, this was what we started the company about, and it worked out fine for us. Okay, so just a couple of more points, and then I'll take questions for the remainder of the 20 minutes. Because we got successful in India and sort of established leadership in generator controls in India, we have now forayed outside of India. There are several major US corporations that are now our customers, and these are also leaders in their own space, just like leaders in India that we have gone with. And today our attention is really to go global, and we are engaged with multiple large businesses, primarily in US and Europe, and also 1 or 2 in China, around whom we think we can build a globally relevant large business in some sort of time frame from now through 2030. So by 2025, we think we can achieve leadership in a couple of things, and also emerge as a motor control leader for applications which are called traction applications. That's been our journey. It's very anecdotal, and it's really about me and this company. But hopefully in that journey, I have talked about a few points on how we have approached adding customers and at what point which customer got added, what were the key reasons for why somebody may have considered us. But fundamentally, this is about we have been able to consistently generate new technology propositions that did not exist in the marketplace. I think that is the fundamental reason why we have succeeded. And new technology propositions in the sense world first. Okay. Not simply saying, oh, I can do it slightly better and cheaper. And that really doesn't work. Something substantially different and fresh, which they have not seen. And therefore, that allowed us entry into large markets, which is usually very difficult to penetrate in. Like I mentioned, there is already people who have taken positions. So I think I will end my 40-minute spiel there. I'm open to taking questions. I can already see some chat queries coming my way, but you are free to throw more and see whether I can answer some of them. Okay,
Right.
so Rakesh, you want to moderate it in terms of the questions, or
Yeah.
I just respond to what comes up, because I think several people are writing.
Right. So I'll just help you moderate it. So first one is from Kanchan. She asks, this is an inspiring journey of Sedimac, and she asks about the typical duration of the B2B sales, and how do you, address that with the sales force that you have?
No, firstly, there is no answer to what is the sales cycle of B2B sales. It all depends on the business that you are in. Okay. In the automotive sector, the sales cycle especially for substantially new technologies, is actually very large for the first introduction. Okay. To give you an example, we did our first demonstration of a sensorless motor control scheme in 2016, or actually 2015. And it actually got into production in 2018 after going through the uncertain phase of whether it will actually get into production or not. So about 2.5 years before the first vehicle hit the market. This sort of time frame is very natural. It appears long to people who want immediate result, but one thing to understand is that what Sedimac is building is fresh technologies, which is which which do not come about very often. There are not too many significant technologies that keep changing in any system. Of course, there are minor technologies that keep happening, but if you look at a phone, wireless networking technology has been CDMA or GSM for a very long period of time. In a similar way, in the major technologies do not change very often. So you tend to have sort of a pioneering role, and therefore it takes time for the first adoption to happen. So that probably answers the question on sales cycle. After the first introduction, things are usually much faster. After the first introduction in 2018, and right now, if you ask the company, about 15 different vehicle models are being gotten ready for further introduction of this new technology around sensor motor risk controls, etc. So after that, it gets a little faster.
Thanks, sir. We have a question from Arjun Bala. He asks, as an innovative company with one-of-a-kind technologies, not only in India but globally, how have you leveraged your IP assets in terms of licensing revenue, valuation for fundraising, and sustaining competitive advantage?
Well, see, the IP is, I mean, if you have something fresh, how do you leverage it? You build a big business. That's what we've been attempting to do. We have been reasonably successful so far. Once you build a big enough business, valuation, etc., goes concomitant with it. So there is no special thought process that, oh, I have to somehow leverage this IP. It's a natural process. How do you leverage it? I mean, if you have something special, you go tell people you have something special and ask them if they are interested in adopting it. That's how we have leveraged our IP in building the business that we have. Nothing special beyond that.
Okay, thanks. We have a question from Sunil Mehta. He asks, were you already supplying full products on contract manufacturing before you set up the manufacturing? And did you have confirmed contracts to supply that was safeguarding the investment in the manufacturing setup?
I don't think I understand the question, but prior to us setting up manufacturing facilities at our own premises, we were using the services of a contract manufacturer of products that we had designed and components that we had chosen. So the contract manufacturer puts it together in a manufacturing facility and gives it to us, and we sold it to our customers. So that was going on for about 2 to 3 years prior to us establishing our own lines in our own facilities.
Okay. So you also did you have confirmed contracts to supply that was safeguarding the investment, or did you do it on an ongoing
Yeah. I
basis?
think this is because probably the person asking this question doesn't understand the business that we are in. We are in a business where there is a strong relationship between who we sell to. This is not one-time orders. Vehicles are sold constantly every month.
Right.
So they need to get produced every month. And the production of vehicles requires the supply chain to be aligned with the vehicle manufacturer. So there are monthly orders continually happening. So the business that we are in is not one-time orders. Once you are part of significant platforms, right, then you will simply get monthly orders on account of how the platform is doing in the marketplace. So that's a good part of our business, that we have extremely sticky customers. It's almost like a marriage. It's not easy to break it. It's not easy to get into it either.
Right. Thank you, sir. We have a question from Raghutam Rao. He is CEO of GDC Center at IIT Madras. He asks, how would you think we can get more faculty from IITs and other colleges to go down the route of entrepreneurship to monetize their research? At present, it's less than 10% of the faculty.
No, not even 10%. 10% is a very, very large figure. First of all, I do not think this journey is for everybody. You should want to be an entrepreneur, and that comes with a huge set of things that you should be ready for. It should be something that you want to do. And typically, faculty members do not join their institutes to become entrepreneurs. They want to teach students. They want to do some research on some interesting problems, keep their minds actively engaged, contribute something fresh to the field. In the process, train a bunch of students who go on and become good engineers or whatever else they're doing. That's what a faculty member joins an academic institute for. And this entrepreneurship game is a little bit new age in that sense. If you look at even the history of what has been happening in the US, and it's only been about 20 to 30 years since this entrepreneurship game really gotten going from educational institutes in a substantial way. Of course, it's always been there. I don't think there is any formula. So first of all, the mindset of faculty members and the faculty member group probably has to change to accept this as one of the significant mainstream activities uh, of the faculty community. I don't think that has happened yet. It is still seen as, okay, some people are doing something. Does it really fit into what a faculty member should do and stuff like that? So if that psyche changes, then there will be a few people who are willing to take this call of going down the path of entrepreneurship, setting aside their usual egos, which is a crucial part of being part of this journey. And then some may end up succeeding. So I don't think there is any magic formula for it. More awareness and a mindset. Institutionally, the institutions probably need to change a little bit to give this a sort of a mainstream dimension as well. That happens, then I think there will be more people who end up participating.
Right. Thanks for that perspective, sir. So we've received few questions in the registration form, and most of it was regarding how did you zero in on the technology product or service that the automobile industry was paying in for? Rather, how did you understand that this would be the requirement of the customer, and how did you build that?
No, we see a lot of these things are, so some of it is insightful and some of it is just happenstance. Okay, happenstance means luck. Okay, what was, I think, in hindsight insightful is that very early in the journey, we understood that the space that, so first of all, controls is a very large space, so you can build very large companies out of it. That was one of the sort of bedrocks of our assumptions. Second is that as a young company, you are better positioned to grow if you are addressing a changing world. Okay, so it so happened that the amount of electronic content and the amount of control technologies in, let's say, two-wheelers, okay, or small powertrains, was changing substantially in the decade that we have operated in. That allowed us to make fresh propositions to people because people are open to change during that time frame. If you are addressing a mature industry which is not changing very much, two-wheelers, though they were selling in very large numbers, the subsystems within the two-wheelers were changing a lot. So we ended up addressing markets which are changing substantially. Though generator sets, I wouldn't say falls in that category. It has not changed a whole lot. But where we have grown substantially and are seeing newer opportunities are around industries which are going through a significant change. And electrification is a great opportunity for a company in the control space like us. And so that change is now firmly underway, and the next decade should keep us busy.
Thanks, sir. We have a question from Derek. He asks, you mentioned that most of initial part in 2010 to until 15, you were licensing of the technology to the automobile companies. Was there a risk for them to, actually get the know-how and make it themselves? How did you kind of de-risk, especially when
see, these are typical questions for of young entrepreneurs. It's not that we have not had these questions. But when you become a little mature, you understand that these are not the crucial questions. According to me, if you have something really special in the sense really fresh, and it is not something easy to build, you can rest assured that the teams that are working with you on the customer side, they are not there to steal it. Most of the time, the stealing, etc., doesn't happen, at least in the environments that we have operated in and with the customers that we have operated in. If they were that good in the first place, they could have built some part of it themselves. And secondly, people in your customer space are more bothered about what it means to their products. So if you're a two-wheeler manufacturer, you're interested in making a better two-wheeler around technologies that can come from, let's say, a company like ZMI. Or are you interested in just copying that technology and doing what with it? So you need the builders of the technology to stay in it over length of time to make sure that all the issues are ironed out. All of that is done. And of course, there are concerns that, you don't want to reveal too much of what you do because it can affect in the long term, or it can affect pricing and things like that. But people stealing it, etc. These are naive concerns, according to me.
Got it. Thanks. In the initial stages, how did you come up with engaging with the manufacturers? Was it through paid pilot, or was it through a discounted or a subscription base? A discounted rate, or how was it? Initial when you approached automobile industry.
Yeah, I don't know if I understood the question. So
for a manufacturing startup, what would be the best way?
There is nothing like a manufacturing startup. Okay, we did not have manufacturing lines in the first place, and then say that, we can manufacture something. That was not our proposition. Okay, the conversation was more around me calling up the CTO of a company saying, if we can do this, will you be interested? Sort of laying out an imagination. then I'm seeing the response. And the typical response is, yeah, I mean, because they have to be nice to me because I'm an IIT prof. Yeah, sure. If you can show it, we may take a look at it. That's a typical response of people. And then you construct a demonstrator and go and show it. And if it is worthwhile, you may construct a demonstrator which is nice, but it doesn't mean that they're going to buy a product and change their scheme of things and all that. If it transcends that barrier, then it gets into a proper contract where there is a give and take. You provide the technology, somebody provides you money, or you provide products and somebody pays you money. I mean, so that's how it has gone about. Usually for a technology licensing sort of situation, it's perfectly okay to ask for substantial cash upfront, because it is not going to get deployed before a huge amount of testing and stuff like that. So once that is true, it's okay to ask for a significant amount of cash upfront, and which is what we did.
Right. So, how did you go on, engaging with investors? You had upfront cash coming in from customers. Did that sustain you for a period of time, and then you approach investors, or how did you make that decision?
No.
Scale up.
Again, if this question is coming, people don't understand the nature of our business. It takes 2.5 to 3 years before something gets into the marketplace in the, let's say, in the two-wheeler space that we are in. So there is no revenue during that time frame. Okay?
It's 17 hours.
Maybe there is a little bit of sort of NRE or application fee that you can negotiate with some people who are a little more generous. But usually there is no revenue in that time frame, and you need investment to sustain a team. So we did have the support of investors pretty much from day 90 of the company. So Nexus invested into this company in September of 2008.
Okay.
We started generating some decent revenues. I mean, what is decent is we were doubling each year, sort of thing. So 20 lakh to 50 lakh to 1 crore, 2 crore, 4 crore, 8 crore, etc.
Right. We'll have one more question. So this is from how do you fabricate mechanical bodies for field trials for user testing without too much investment? For example, if it is a pre-investment startup, because it precludes the use of plastic molds which cost many lakhs, or dies or custom punches. 3D printing is also not an option for large size bodies. So the question really is, if you want to make a body or a demonstrator that is well finished, what is the best way of fabrication for
First thing is you need money. Okay, and getting money in that stage is never easy. Every entrepreneur has to go through. Some of them succeed, some of them don't succeed. Looking at grants, looking at seed investment, etc. That is the most crucial thing. So once you have enough money, then you can engage the services of people who will help you build those prototypes, okay, of designs that you have. Without that, trying to get something done with bits and pieces usually doesn't work out, because the quality of workmanship, etc., is not presentable, essentially. So I think the most crucial thing, if you are in a sort of product space and trying to build something fresh, etc., is that you should have some capital investment upfront, and either you're wealthy or you're able to convince investors to participate.
Got it. I think it's almost it's 5:00. We'll take one last question. It's regarding investors. You mentioned that they're purely on a finance basis. Did they taken any crucial decision making in your company, or what was the extent of control?
No. Investors don't understand our company now, so they can't make any crucial decisions.
Got it. Well, that's it from in terms of the question. Swati, could you help in sharing the screen if you can? If you can make me a presenter. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shashikant, for your valuable insight in terms of how did you approach customers and how building a source story of Sedimec is proud for us also, one of the early companies incubated at Sign, and then going at a very scale up stage now. So and it's also proud feeling for us, and being a faculty of IIT Bombay, also being an entrepreneur, and help us in mentoring other younger startups as well. We really appreciate your time for sharing your story with us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Hopefully it was useful.
Indeed, it was. We'll share the feedback for sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just quickly, share that the Power Hour series. It is a weekly series that we do. We have one coming up next week, which will be on digital marketing, and that would be. We will share with you the details of that. Which should be on a Friday evening at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 p.m. And in case if you'd like to get in touch with us at Sign, you can contact the business team. By sending out an email to bd@signitp.org to understand more about to get feedback on your startup or the technology that you're building, or if you need any help with regards to that. And you can also check us up online at www.signitp.org. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you next time for our next Power Hour series. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.